My dear friends, I have I don't know if you call it sad duty, but I have the duty to inform all of you of a very simple fact. The President of the United States of America is a pervert. Understand what I just said. The President of the United States of America is a pervert. Now, you just don't say something like that without backing it up.
When James Carville targets Donald Trump, it's more than criticism, it's a demolition job. The longtime strategist cuts through Trump's polished image and exposes a man fueled by ego, not leadership. Carville doesn't just highlight flaws, he magnifies them until they can't be ignored. In his telling, Trump isn't a strong leader at all. He's a stale rerun nobody asked for. And for someone obsessed with legacy, being painted as irrelevant might be the harshest hit yet.
Dramatic here, but at 1 o'clock on the 17th of January of 2024, I raised a question and pointed out that they were red splotches on Donald Trump's hands, and that could be professional, a sign of syphilis, a venereal disease, a tertiary syphilis, and which can have profound effects, if not.
James Carville doesn't just criticize Donald Trump, he dismantles him. With the precision of a seasoned strategist, Carville zeroes in on the weaknesses Trump tries to mask. Once seen as a powerful figure, Trump is recast as a cautionary tale dressed in expensive suits. Carville's attacks aren't quick jabs. They're blows designed to linger long after the words are spoken.
So Trump has gone out of his way to tell us he's a pervert. He's talked about, this is very difficult, I hate to bring this up, but we got to do this. His youngest daughter, I think her name is Tiffany, and was fantasizing about her breast.
From the start, James Carville targets Trump's obsession with appearances. For a man who boasts of strength, Carville says his image rests on illusion, not substance. He points to the irony of a president who valued ratings and crowd sizes over real leadership. In his telling, Trump's White House felt less like a seat of power and more like a vanity stage where applause always outranked policy.
This is a supplement to what I just did, because I think I brought up a really, really important point here. And, you know, sometimes you always have to evaluate the conclusions you drew because maybe they were erroneous conclusions. And so one of the things that we know for sure is Donald John Trump stinks. In other words,
Louisiana strategist James Carville portrays Trump as the face of political dysfunction. He argues Trump's choices reveal deep insecurity, a leader chasing approval while dodging responsibility. To Carville, Trump played the part of president without truly doing the job, leaving the nation to deal with the consequences. And when history judges him, Carville insists, it won't be for achievements, but for the chaos he left behind.
Then he talked on Howard Stern about having sex with his oldest daughter. Come on, man. I'm not that sheltered. I'm 80 years old, all right? I've been around the world once. I've been to Arkansas twice. I've seen and heard a lot of shit in my life. I have never, ever heard of anybody fantasizing about having sex with their daughter.
Carville frequently takes aim at Trump's business record, stripping away the myth of a self-made mogul. He argues Trump's climb relied on family wealth, bailouts, and branding, not brilliance. To Carville, the empire Trump boasts about is less success and more failure hidden behind gold plating. And the greatest illusion of all, he says, is that this image alone propelled him to the presidency.
Fiasco in Canada, where there was a G7 meeting, and of course he can't stay because frankly they don't give a shit about him anymore. He was not the center of attention. And then he holds a press conference with the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, of which he has some empty pages that are blowing in the fucking wind that don't have anything.
Carville is blunt about Trump's political style. True leaders, he says, bring people together and tackle problems. Trump did the opposite, thriving on conflict and turning division into strategy. Carville describes it as performance, where angry tweets replaced real policy. His critique sharpens on Trump's thin skin, a man who boasts of toughness but reacts instantly to criticism. In Carville's words, it's a glass jaw, a heavyweight act that crumbles at the first hit. The irony, he adds, is striking. A leader who wants to look like a lion but often behaves more like a wounded cat.
This man is repetitively, publicly fantasized about having sex with underage females. He was actually asked, well, what age limit you wouldn't go before? And I think his consensus number was 12. Yeah, that's right. Look it up. That's what he said. So I'm not being Clarence Darrow or Louis Brandeis or something.
Carville doesn't spare Trump on honesty. He portrays him as a president who swapped facts for whatever story polished his image. From exaggerated wins to outright fabrications, Carville argues Trump made dishonesty routine, and his base cheered it as if it were policy. He also points to Trump's fixation on loyalty. Skill, in Carville's view, mattered far less than praise. Advisors were valued not for competence, but for flattery, turning the presidency into a personality cult instead of a functioning government. And then there's Trump's rhetoric. While past leaders are remembered for speeches that united a nation, Carville says Trump will be recalled for rambling monologues, more late-night infomercial than presidential address. Where Lincoln gave the Gettysburg Address, Trump delivered word salads laced with grievances.
I do not, I guess Trump is human in one sense, in another sense he's not. I really think he is such an odious and despicable man that he should not be accorded the most basic courtesies that one human being would extend.
Carville points to Trump's record, or as he puts it, the absence of one. Major promises on healthcare and infrastructure never became reality. Instead, the term relied on slogans, staged moments, and endless distractions. In Carville's view, those 4 years were marked less by progress and more by wasted chances, where headlines mattered more than history.
I think we have to consider the fact, not the fact, we have to consider the possibility, I want to be very careful with my language here, that Trump is unable to wipe his ass. Yeah, you heard me. It is possible that this man is incapable of wiping his...
Carville's harshest criticism cuts personal. He says Trump isn't a force for change, but a product of America's taste for spectacle. Trump didn't invent celebrity politics, he perfected it. But Carville argues that the act is wearing thin. Rallies and slogans once seen as bold now feel like reruns, offering no fresh vision. Even supporters, he warns, sense the fatigue. A true leader looks forward, but Trump stays stuck in the past, recycling old fights instead of shaping the future. And when the show stops thrilling, Carville says, the audience moves on. Next voice, next voice.
Being. I think he is a grotesque, immoral man who is incapable of understanding anything or anybody that's not him. And I'll just be very honest, I cannot stand the son of a bitch. But we've been a lot of people and say you really shouldn't use this language, and I'm trying to think of what can I do to accommodate some of these people, and what I can do is this. I am no longer going to say he can't wipe his ass.
Trump's greatest achievement was selling himself as larger than life. But once the branding and bravado are peeled back, Carville says, what remains is a man driven by insecurity, someone who built an image he could never truly match. The real tragedy, in his view, isn't just what Trump failed to deliver, but how easily the nation accepted the performance. Trump, he argues, is a contradiction, a man who wanted the title of president without the weight of responsibility. For Carville, that's the final blow. The showman has been exposed, and once the illusion shatters, it rarely returns. The cheers may linger, but the aura of authority is gone.